Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Keeping Score with Josh and Ray. Today, we're going to be going over the new recruitment of Cliff Omoruyi and also a little bit of MLB preseason predictions. So, first off, Josh, what do you think? Just overall statement about the Cliff Omoruyi commitment.
I am absolutely thrilled with it. You and I went to I think it was the Union County High School or like tournament final game at Kane University. He played with Roselle Catholic when we went with the Rutgers Riot Squad fan club, um, and we we basically chanted like we went Cliff the whole game because that's how much I mean, he's a top 50 recruit in the whole country, and I think top 8 for centers. So that's really, really, really good find. And historically, we haven't been able to get those local talents like that. They always go somewhere else. But now that the program's in a better place, we can attract those guys. And I think he's gonna be a great tandem with Miles Johnson. Hopefully, he can kind of round out Miles' skill set because Miles was more of a defensive guy, doesn't really shoot a lot. Hopefully, Cliff can provide more of a offensive presence as well, so we get that nice 1-2 punch. Especially with Shaq Carter leaving, get more big man depth. So, what do you think?
Yeah. I think the relationship between Miles and Cliff is going to be pretty fun to watch. Because, not only are they going to provide that 1-2 punch, like you said, but also apparently they both share an interest in engineering as well.
Right.
So,
Miles actually showed him a tour of the engineering school. I read that. That's pretty cool.
I mean, that's pretty cool to see, and I think there's only a 2-year age difference between them. So, maybe Miles can just show Cliff the ropes a little bit in his first year. I don't know how much he's actually going to play, Cliff, um, just because he's a freshman. And if he does play, he's still gonna have to mature and everything. But
Mhm.
I think it's going to be pretty cool to watch what unfolds between both of them.
That's a good point. I think he'll actually get a good amount of minutes, and here's why: because like the team is not really deep on big men, right? So especially with Carter leaving, so like I think they're gonna have Ducoria back, but he's more of a he's more of a reserve like rotational kind of player. Um, like Miles is really like the only big man that got a lot of minutes last season. I think Cliff can be like the second one. If you remember, like Kofi Coburn on, he plays for Illinois. Um, he got a lot of minutes as a freshman last year, and he was a monster. If Cliff can be like that, that could really take us to like Sweet 16 level kind of a team because we already have
Yeah,
a big backcourt, you know, with Gio
yeah,
Ron and Jacob Young, Paul. Though you got a bunch of studs back there. So if you can match that with the front court, that's going to be big.
yeah. I mean, even without Cliff,
Mhm.
Rutgers they proved it this past year. They
Yeah.
have a good chance to go into the tournament and even going far. Um, but I think with Cliff, I think if he does really well, you're going to see Rutgers definitely going at least past the first round of the NCAA tournament next year. And if he's just more of a reserve type, I think Rutgers is still going to go far. Whether or not they have the same spark that they did this past year, I mean, they came out of nowhere pretty much to, contrary to the predictions that everyone was giving them. But I think if he does end up producing for them, Rutgers, they're going to go far in the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm not expecting them to be a bubble team like they were this past year. I
No,
think they're going to be like a solid, definite kind of like
yeah,
contending team, which is exciting. And yeah, I think Cliff can be like that next push they need to get to that really like upper echelon level. Um, I think we were kind of missing that like consistent presence in the front court because Miles was solid, but he had his off nights, especially on the offensive end. Um, I think if Cliff can dominate in the post and stuff like that, if he can be physical down there, that would be really really solid. And then even like Jaden Jones, shooting guard, for the class of 2021, that's he's gonna be a huge shooting presence on the perimeter. So the program's in good hands going forward. Definitely exciting future. But for this year, I think with Gio, especially as a senior, they're gonna want to send him off right with the tournament run. that we didn't get to have
Yeah.
this year. So
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and it's so promising because a lot of the guys that were on the team last year are still going to be, with the Knights this year. I mean, Gio's going to be a senior. Miles, I think, is going to be a junior.
right.
You got Caleb McConnell, who he kind of dropped off in the middle of the season, but you know what? He's going to come back. He's only going to be a junior. Um, and then, like you said, you have the two new recruits that are going to be coming in within the next 2 years.
Right.
So I think Pikel's done a good job of just kind of, stocking up the Knights with some youth as this core kind of ages out a little bit in the next couple of years.
Yeah, and don't forget about Paul Mulcahy.
All right.
He's gonna be a sophomore now. He took a lot of strides last year. I remember his passing was like really really good. He could shoot a little bit too. So I'm excited to see them. I think they're gonna definitely have a chip on their shoulder, like because this past year was supposed to be the year they had made it official with the 29-year drought, but the corona happened, so they had to wait an extra year. I think this past year was a really good building block, and hopefully we get that same level of um, like wins at the rack next year. Hopefully we can only have a couple losses, maybe at the most at home, because I think the home advantage is something we really established. Um, but yeah, I think the sky's the limit for this team. I can even see them like maybe Elite Eight if things go really well.
Really?
Like that's probably like the best case scenario.
You
But
think that's our limit?
I mean, well, once the Elite Eight happens, anything can happen. Like
All right.
Texas Tech made the final. Like no one thought that was gonna happen. So it's hard to predict like making the final, but like Sweet 16, Elite Eight is like a really good spot to be.
All right.
You know, so yeah,
And it'd be huge. I mean, if they got that far, it'd be huge for the future too. Because
right.
I mean, recruits are already coming here now, and we didn't even get a chance to show ourselves in the tournament. So if you think
Right.
about if they actually got that far, I mean, like, how many
Yeah.
recruits do you think would be coming
I
then?
mean, that's the thing. It's like every year's a building block, and that's how you get recruits, like Duke and Kentucky do all the time, because they built their program up slowly over the years. So, and that's what Pike was doing now. I mean, I'm so glad he could sign that contract extension because
Yeah,
that man is literally the savior of Rutgers
he
basketball.
he
So
brought up the program.
he built this up from the ground.
Yes,
So,
he did.
um, yeah, but Rome wasn't built in a day. It takes time. Uh,
And that honestly, that kind of reminds me of what Chiano's doing a little bit too. I
yeah,
mean, Chiano, he's not going to have the best year in Knights history next year.
yeah,
They're getting some recruits. They're getting some noteworthy recruits. They've had a good class this all season,
yeah.
but I mean, but it's about the future. They
Right.
might not have the best record this year, but it's about the future. It's about building on what you do each season and getting more and more recruits each season. You know.
Yeah, with the football team, I'm looking for baby steps because like you're literally starting from nothing. So like they do have the 12th best class coming in. My friend told me he sent me a website about recruiting. They were ranked the 12th best recruiting class this year, which is good in the whole nation. So that's good. That's exciting that people want to come, to Rutgers. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff to figure out. Like we don't even know who's going to play quarterback yet. He's getting a lot of defensive guys like outside linebackers, stuff like that, which is always good. But are we going to go back to Art Sitkowski? I mean, he wasn't great. Johnny Langan was kind of a fill-in guy. Can't really blame him for
Yeah,
much. It was a bad situation.
he did what he could. I
Did what he
mean,
could,
what
yeah.
did he have to work with?
Nothing. I mean, they had running backs. I mean, Isaiah Pacheco is pretty good, but I mean, you need more than that.
Yeah.
uh, so, yeah, I mean, and the thing is that we always have that out of conference game on opening day. Like this year, it's going to be Monmouth. Last year it was UMass. We always win that game.
It's a
Uh,
show game.
yeah, it's just for like fan service.
Yeah.
But like, I want to see conference games. Like, can we like make those close?
Can we get a win in the Big Ten?
I mean, really. I mean, but it hasn't happened, I think, since 2017, which is sad.
That's
I mean, if Shiano can get like a couple out of conference wins, then I would be happy with that. I'm not
yeah,
expecting anything crazy like bowl games and stuff. Um, you know, but
yeah. We've talked about this before. He needs to show progress.
right.
That's something that they didn't have for the past, I don't know, 3 or 4 years under Ash.
Well,
I
because
mean,
Ash
not
didn't
it's
recruit anybody like enough. Like he didn't have the connections, and it was just wasted time not progressing.
an absolute waste of time.
Absolute waste of time.
Should be
I mean,
ashamed.
watching them get smacked by Big Ten teams that day in and day out was like just not like
That's
it's depressing. Like can't watch that.
it's a stain on Rutgers history. That's what it is.
The Chris Ash era?
Yeah, it's a stain on
Absolutely.
Rutgers history.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Shiano, he definitely has bowl game potential as we saw, back in the day, like 10 years ago. But he has to do it again, like I was saying before, it's cool that he was good back then, but I need to see it again. We can't just live off of
Yeah.
the reputation from before.
Oh, he's got a little bit of pressure on him.
He's off to a good start with the recruiting, definitely. But
That's
I mean,
true.
I want to see progress, especially on the offensive side of the ball, because I remember, I think it was against Michigan State, where you and I went to the game at the press
Yes.
box last year. It took like 2 quarters to get like a first down or something.
Oh yeah, yeah. That
Like,
can't like.
can we
It's
not?
laughable. It's laughable.
Can we actually like get an actual offense, please, to watch? Like,
Something.
I'm not asking for like LSU, but like, come
An
on,
offense that can get a first down in the first half. Is that too much to ask?
like,
I
bro,
mean,
it was just sad to watch. Like, oh
it
my god,
was. That press box, that was depressing, man. That was a
yeah.
depressing
The
press
whole
box.
vibe, the whole vibe was just sad.
I,
Like,
I mean, every other play was like, oh, damn,
and I remember the defense was actually like okay, they were holding their own, but then they get
Yeah,
tired because they're always on defense. They're not they
yeah.
can't they can't play defense the whole game. You got to get the offense some time too.
I
But if
mean,
you,
they literally went 3 and out every single time in the first half.
that's why Adam Korsak is like the GOAT because he always punts.
Yeah,
So I mean, yeah, we just need, I'm happy about the recruiting, but I'm always going to be skeptical about football until I see some results.
yeah.
So, but it is good that they at least have a pulse right now.
They have something.
There's something
Luciano.
there. There's something there, but it's baby steps. Well, with the basketball team, we're looking for like Sweet 16 potential. With football, we're not looking for any of that cool stuff yet.
No.
If it does happen in some alternate universe, that's cool. But yeah, we're just looking for to build the team from the ground up, and yeah,
You got to give it time.
it is in the right hands though. I do believe that.
Yeah.
That's what's important.
And now, kind of sticking with predictions here, jumping over to professional leagues. Let's talk
Right.
a little bit about MLB season predictions. So, right now, who do you think is the team that's going all the way?
New York Yankees, boy.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I think the Astros are going to take a hit because of all the scandal. I think it's going to take a toll on them emotionally, and I think teams are going to go at them pretty hard, honestly. So, yeah, I mean, they're
I hope.
a playoff team. I just don't think they're going to win again. You know, like be a championship team again.
Right.
Just because it's just hard to come back from that, from the scandal like that.
I mean, I don't know how much it's actually affecting them.
Mhm.
Just because, what we've seen in the interviews, it's like, oh, we make mistakes. We don't believe it affected the game that much, which, again, it did. But that was only really in a limited sample size of what we've been watching. I mean, that was over the course of a few interviews in, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 months.
Mhm.
I mean, I think it's going to be interesting to see that over the course of a whole season. But again, I don't know the exact emotional toll it's going to have on them. Do I
Here's the
think
thing.
it's definitely going to affect them in some way?
Yeah.
Absolutely. But
Here's the thing, though. They will never admit like how much it actually affected them, like publicly. Like maybe they will, but in the future, not now. Like because I
mistake.
mean, because they're not people aren't accountable for stuff like that, you know? Like they're gonna like brush it off like it's no big deal, but behind the scenes in the locker room, I mean that has to do something. It's a national scandal. Like, you know, like you can't just like brush that off like it's nothing, you know? So and they're still gonna be a good team, but I don't know. I don't see them winning at all. I think the Dodgers are always, in the mix. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think Jarrett Cole is going to be a really big addition, for my Yankees. Um, I think because we were just so close, we were on the cusp. I think he's going to be the thing to push us, to the World Series. I don't know, but who do you think?
I think the Yankees are a really good bet, just because, like you said, they do have Garrett Cole. They have an amazing lineup. Um, and just looking at all the people that they lost to injuries last year, who probably are going to be healthy this year.
Right, like
Um,
Stan, you know,
who? Oh, Stanton,
like yeah,
yeah.
Stan. We made it so far last year with him barely playing.
Right.
I mean, just the offense is just ridiculous for the Yankees. So
Yeah. They have a good chance. Honestly, I'd say that the Braves, I think they
really,
have a really good chance of going far.
why?
Winning all the way, probably not. But I mean, listen, they have a very great core.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they didn't do much in the postseason last year, but I don't think it should be underestimated what their core actually is. Just look at Acuna and Ozzy Albies. I mean, there's two players right there who are very, very good players.
I remember watching. I think it was Acuna in the home run derby, um, last year. That was fun.
Dude,
He
he's
was good.
he's a he's a superstar player in the making. I mean, just
He's only like 22 or something, right?
yeah, he's young.
Yeah.
He's got this feeling about him. Watching him play, there's just something about him. You look at him and you say, you know what, that's going to be a superstar one day.
Right.
And not even just him on the Braves. Their pitching staff is good. It's not elite.
Right.
Um, but you know what? I think they're a very good team. And I hate saying that because I am a Phillies fan,
Yeah.
and I can't stand their little chant that they do whenever they are in like runners in scoring position. But I mean, you can't deny that they're gonna have a successful season.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of the Phillies, they haven't been too hot recently, but you think they can progress a little bit more this year or what?
I, I mean, I thought the last 2 years we were gonna at least be above 500. Look
Nah.
what happened. Yeah, it gives me a headache just thinking about it. But I think Gabe Kapler was honestly a big reason why we didn't go far. And I'm not a big Gabe Kapler hater, as many people are for some
Mhm.
reason. But there's something about the way he managed the clubhouse that I just don't think was working. I mean, I saw this interview one time that he had with Rhys Hoskins, the first baseman for the Phillies. And he was talking about how, listen, you know what? He's a good hitter. He'll get out of his funk that he's in. And the thing is that after the All Star break, I think he was hitting like 180 or something for a good like 2 or 3 months. I just
Wow.
didn't. I don't think there was any accountability in that clubhouse.
Yeah.
So I think Girardi's going to help a lot, but honestly, who knows what they're going to do?
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna say this. As a Yankees fan, I really miss Joe Girardi. So you're lucky to have him. I mean, me and my dad always talk about like Aaron Boone. I don't know. I don't understand him sometimes. I don't know why he was there in the first place. This guy literally made one highlight play in his career, the home run against the Red Sox in the postseason, and now he's the manager of the team. Why? Why? He didn't like. It was usually like a like a all-star catcher or something. That's the manager because he catchers are leaders. Or maybe like a shortstop or something. But this like utility first baseman or whatever he was. That played for like a couple seasons. Like, what pedigree does he have? And then the whole thing with the bullpen. He was obsessed with the bullpen. I know our starting rotation wasn't great, but I mean, come on. I mean, the bullpen is meant to be a secondary option, like because they're gonna get tired and you're gonna run out of arms, and that's what happened, and that's why we lost steam in terms of pitching. And of course, Garrett Cole's gonna help a lot, but he has to learn, to use the bullpen as a secondary option. But that's just my rant. Sorry.
I mean, honestly, I think that's just the way the game is down now, though. I mean, you see a lot that managers they're going to the bullpen in like the fifth or sixth inning, and honestly, I don't blame him a lot for going early sometimes because you guys didn't have great pitching last year. And I think he did a good job with all the injuries that were thrown at the Yankees. But there's something to be said when you're talking about what makes a good manager. And when the Yankees have a lineup like they do, and when the Yankees now have a pitcher like they do with Garrett Cole, I don't know how well you can evaluate Aaron Boone if you're saying whether or not he's a good manager, because look at what he has to work with. He's got a very talented group to work with. So I don't really know where I stand with him as far as, being a good manager.
Yeah, it's kind of like Eric Spoelstra on the Miami Heat, when they had LeBron and stuff. It's like, how much is he really doing?
Yeah.
Same with like Steve Kerr with the Warriors. It's like, it's just, I understand what you mean. The game's going a certain way, but I mean, here's the thing. Like, if you see something with the rotation's not working, right, you can try to switch it up, the rotation, call somebody else up, switch the orders, switch the rest days. That's your job as a manager, is to experiment with stuff like that. You have 162 games to do that over the course of the season.
Mm-hmm.
But no, he was just all bullpen all the time, especially in the playoffs. So I see your point. I think it goes both ways. I think we had a shortage of starting pitching, but also he should have been a little bit more resourceful. But yeah, I think Joe Girardi is going to be a good addition for the Phillies. He's really level-headed. I remember when we won in 2009, he was like a revelation, so yeah. But yeah, that's all I have to say. He's a good manager.
So, looking back at this offseason, what would you say is one of the moves that surprised you most?
Across the league?
Yeah, across the league.
I'm not sure, honestly, because I've mostly been paying attention to the Astro stuff. I haven't been looking at like all the moves across the league. So could you fill me in a bit?
So I think one that was very controversial, to say the least, was the Mookie Betts trade.
I knew I was thinking about something. I knew. So I remember we were talking about that. Like, why did they do that?
Yeah. So the Red Sox traded Mookie Betts and David Price to the Dodgers for Alex Verdugo. Alex Verdugo is a young player. I think it's his first couple seasons in the league, if not his second or something. And he's a good prospect. It looks like he's going to be a good player. But the thing is the Red Sox traded Mookie Betts.
One of the best.
You don't trade Mookie Betts. It blows my mind that they did that. I mean, I don't understand it.
David Price is still a good pitcher too.
Yeah, David Price, I think he bounced back with his performance in the playoffs 2 years ago. But listen, I mean, why? Why?
Yeah, I remember I was missing something. I couldn't remember. I remember talking about that in the office. Like, what are they doing? Yeah, I mean, I think the Red Sox are definitely declining since they were a couple of years ago. Like, they were championship level. I mean, Mookie is what? He has to be a top 10 position player in the league.
Absolutely.
I mean, for a young guy, I don't get it. I mean, what was it also draft picks? I mean,
yeah. I believe. Yeah, so the Dodgers are also sending two prospects along with Verdugo. But I remember looking at them, and I mean, again, they're good. I think they're going to be good players, but not at all what the Dodgers should have sent if they're getting Mookie Betts in return.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe it's a little bit for the salary cap, but take the penalty if you're going to be trading. If you have to trade Mookie Betts, just take the salary cap penalty. You know,
Yeah.
just I don't know. That was a move that really I think was just very poorly designed by the Red Sox.
Yeah, that was terrible. I mean, I hate the Red Sox, so I'm glad they did that. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Red Sox might be cursed now. I mean, Chris Sale just got Tommy John surgery, or he's gonna get Tommy John surgery.
I remember Chris Sale on the White Sox. He was like a complete stud, and then now to see him like that is just sad.
Yeah.
He was like he was like 102 miles an hour fastball and stuff like that.
Right.
But you know,
Yeah,
what are you gonna do?
he's still a good pitcher. I don't think he's what he was a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Red Sox are cursed. They traded away Mookie Betts. You get cursed.
I mean, it's like they traded away Babe Ruth. You know, they have a history of that. So
What do they have, like a 85-year drought or something after they traded Babe Ruth? You know.
That was so funny.
Yeah. Who knows what it's going to be now?
Yeah, but you got anything else? I think.
No, I think that kind of just gives
Yeah.
a little bit of an update just around the league, both in professional sports and with Rutgers as well. So we hope that you guys enjoyed this one, and be sure to follow us on Twitter, our YouTube channel, and Instagram as well.